Hello everybody and welcome back. And the party have finished clearing up this gold mine. We might as well review it for a few minutes. I thought it was a well laid out dungeon. It was zoned into several different areas. Again, the spider is meant to appear randomly or at the DM's discretion, and it's up to the DM to think of a backstory as to how that might happen. I chose to invent a series of tunnels and cracks in a layer above this dungeon so the spider could drop in. That didn't happen as I gave some sort of random criteria. I suppose if you were playing as a DM with other people and you didn't need so much randomness to make decisions for you, then you could just surprise the party at any time. As it turned out, the spider was in its lair. And also with this dungeon, we didn't do this bit here. There is another encounter in this area marked E. And here. That's okay. We've got more than enough adventure to get through. The other thing is that the ochre jelly was a pretty hard-hitting monster, and if the spider drops in randomly, then the ochre jelly really is a sort of second end boss before you get to the ultimate goal, which is to rescue the dwarves. And again, if I was the DM, from the point of view of the players, they don't have access to this map, so the game would take a lot longer and the players would not know that this is the end. It could curl round, it could go that way. So when we encountered the ochre jelly, it was obvious to me that the dungeon ended here because I have the book and the map. But from the player's point of view, they don't know, will there be 4 more ochre jellies in this massive area? I think this is one example of how playing this game solo with the information in front of you is very, very different from playing it as a player with a DM. In some ways, I like this version better because it moves faster. I'm not constantly describing the length of a corridor and north-south passages and funny angles. It sort of goes southwestish for 30 feet, then it turns and goes southeastish. I can just get on with the business of moving through the dungeon, but at the same time, I still have to act for it to be in any way plausible, which makes it enjoyable for myself. I do have to think, if the party get badly damaged in an area like here and they have no idea what is up ahead, then they should look after themselves and return to somewhere safe. Anyway, that's my thoughts. But overall, this dungeon clearly had an end boss, which was the spider, but I think the ochre jelly was a second end boss. Right, before we leave the gold mine for good, I just had another thought. If you remember from Horror on the Hill, when the party were in the twisty caverns, I did not use the official maps. Instead, I drew it. I had the official map off to one side, and I drew this on camera as we progressed. I think in hindsight that might have been better to do for this because it has a maze-like structure. It probably would have been beneficial for you watching and for myself playing to map this as we went. But okay, it's done, but that's an idea for the future to remember. So the party are currently here, and the second thing before we start is that Malin has leveled up. There was a bit of an XP dump at the end of that adventure, a couple of high level creatures and a reward of 3000 gold. And that has just pushed Malin into level 5. Liz is not far behind because the level XP for a thief and a mage kind of track each other even if Liz is 1 level ahead. But she only gets that 5% XP bonus for her prime requisite, whereas Malin gets 10, and that really does seem to be adding up. Well, we're well into the expert book. I also think that our party are about half a level more advanced than this adventure would recommend, but I also think this adventure would have recommended a party of 6 or 7. So we are here, and he becomes an enchanter, and this is the exciting bit. He gets a level 3 spell. So he has a scroll with fireball on it, and that is what I think most mages aspire to, getting the fireball. Let's read. It has a range of 240 feet. This is good because it's slightly more than a longbow or a crossbow. which means he can fire this out of range of any missile fire coming at him. It only has a 40 feet diameter, so for this to be effective it has to be fired into a cluster of enemies. And also, you really don't want your own party members in the middle. There is an exception to that. So you could cast the cleric spell, Protection from Fire. Resist Fire, which gives you a saving throw bonus against Fireball, plus 1 point of damage per die reduction. And also, if you have a Ring of Fire resistance, as both Donard and Carrick do, you get a further +1 damage resistance. So you could effectively make one of your party members very resistant to fire, send them into the middle of quite a tough battle, then fireball everybody, and your own party member could come away with much less damage than being beat upon by the enemies. I might try that as a strategy. Now, what would his other spell be? Because if he can get that from a scroll, I will give him another spell purely for leveling up. I wrote S here for Fireball, because it's on a scroll. He will learn that this morning, though he will not have Fireball memorized until tonight. Right, let's look at some third level magic user spells. Clairvoyance. This gives the caster the ability to see through the eyes of another creature. Right, there are limitations to the range. That's very situational. If anybody has any ideas where that might be very good, I would be glad to hear those ideas, because it looks... Okay, we'll move on from clairvoyance. Dispel magic. Destroy spells in a 20-foot cube, does not affect magic items, and there is a 5% chance per level difference of failure. Fireball we just went through, and that will do 5d6 damage. Fly. Now Fly, it's got here the mage flying, but Fly could be cast on anybody. And you can fly at 360 feet per turn. Okay, that's good, but again, very situational. Haste. Now this one I like. This spell allows up to 24 creatures in its 60-foot diameter to perform actions at double speed for half an hour. Those affected may move up to twice normal speed and make double the number of missile or hand-to-hand attacks. That is incredible. That might end up doing more damage than Fireball. Okay, hold person. We have a cleric with a hold person. I don't really want to double up on that. Infravision. Well, we have 2 demi-humans. Invisibility 10-foot radius. This makes the recipient and all others within 10 feet at the time of casting invisible. This is an area effect, and those who move further than 10 feet from the recipient become visible. They may not regain invisibility by returning to the area. Okay, so I've got a feeling then if the recipient of this spell moves and everybody else moves with them, you can all move in unison and remain invisible. Imagine this being cast outdoors. If the party or suddenly find something like a dragon or a manticore flying overhead, and you immediately want to hide, this could be a lifesaver. Lightning bolt, well, we have Fireball. Protection from evil 10 feet radius. Right, this is like a bless spell. Okay. Protection from normal missiles. Could be handy again. Yes, this is another good one. Water breathing, again, very situational. There are some adventures which really take place underwater, but overall it's a choice between haste, which is a massive damage dealer, or invisibility. I'm going to go with haste. So the gods that be, which is myself, will write haste into Malin's spellbook. And of course, the other ritual with leveling up is that you throw dice for hit points. Malin's hit points are currently 11 at level 4. An average for level 4 would be 10, so he is 1 point above average. For level 5, the average is 12.5, so if he throws a 1 and gets 12, he will be slightly below average. If he throws a 2 and gets 13, he will be slightly above average. And of course, 3 and 4 are always welcome. Right, here goes. And it's a 3, good. So he is up to 14 HP. So Malin wakes up invigorated and very much feeling the power, and he likes it. This is why he wanted to become a mage, to just know everything and be able to do everything. I think as he levels up, this might start to become a bit of an obsession. So the party are here, and we're going to make it back to Sakuskin. We want to stock up on some new rations. We want to make sure we have enough arrows and crossbow bolts and such like. When we leave the gold mine, the 3 orcs that we have found tied up in spiders' webs, well, we're greeted with their heads on spikes at the entrance to the mine. Okay, well, we live in such a world, so we're not fazed by that. And I won't do the journey back with random monsters because we're near the end of this chapter and let's just get on with it. However, if you remember, we have these random wilderness events for the DM to drop in, and one of them is lost item. When travelling, a character notices that a valuable item, DM's choice, has been lost from a pack or saddlebag. For each hour, up to 6 hours spent backtracking at half normal speed, there is a 20% chance that the item will be found. You should not have the character lose a vital item, since it is possible that it will not be found. So a vital item would be a spell book, and a valuable item would be the Staff of Healing. So the party are about here when Donard notices the Staff of Healing has gone. We stopped in the middle of the day about here, and he's convinced that he remembers having it there. So we're going to have to backtrack for 6 hours, looking very carefully on the ground for this Staff of Healing. We did have 2 of them. One was given at the very start of the Eye of Traldar. The other one was found somewhere in the Caves of Chaos, if I remember correctly. One was lost when Donard was kidnapped, but just before Blizzard Pass. And here is the second one gone. Now the Staff of Healing has been a lifesaver. Not a lightsaber, but a lifesaver. We have 6 chances to find it. Essentially, that is what the instructions can be summarised as, and it will take 6 hours to do it. So we have to roll 20% or less, 6, and we have 6 chances to do that, or otherwise that Staff of Healing is gone for good. So in the first hour, we're leading the horses by the reins as we walk backwards, staring at the ground. And 54, nope, so that's 1 go gone. Second one, 85, nope, that's 2 hours looking. We're starting to fret because this Staff of Healing has seen us through a lot. 74, nope. Whoops. And yes, 13. Okay, we find it 4 hours later. Right, that was good. I was quite prepared to lose that, to sort of, well, let's just say make things a bit more difficult. Right, okay, so we found it. In fact, the odds of you losing it, if you have a 20% chance to find it, and you have 6 turns to roll 20%, by multiplying 0.8 to the power of 6, is that the odds of losing it? So the party make it back to Sakuskin. We're going to stash all our golden treasure in the rooms that we have been given above the stables. We're going to spend 1 night resting, curing and memorising spells. Malin is going to learn 1 shield and 1 sleep, and Sylvia is going to learn 1 charm and 1 sleep, because we think we're going into a goblin lair. Those are low level monsters, and sleep is great. Now, will Malin learn Fireball or Haste? Oh god, I don't know. I really want to cast a Fireball. He can surprise us with that one. So the party are back in Sakuskin, and it took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days to get there. I did do the wandering monster checks for the daytime and the evening, and I used the rules from the expert book for checking twice per day, and if you get a roll of 1, then there is a monster. And then I used the encounter tables here to see what those encounters were, and there were just 2 encounters, one on the morning of the 2nd day and one in the evening of the 3rd day. And the first encounter on the 2nd day turned out to be nothing, and the one on the evening of the 3rd day turned out to be just some bats, and they flew off. So it was a long, uneventful trip back to the homestead. So let's make sure we get the calendar up to date. So the party left the gold mine on the morning of Cerdane, the 7th of Flamont. It took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, which makes it Lunadine the 12th. During that time, we could look at the weather, which was mostly dry. So yes, they had good weather for travelling. And during the night times, the moon was almost becoming full, so it was quite bright in the evening as they camped under the moonlight. So they're going to spend one day, which is Gromdin the 13th, in Sukuskin before they head off to the Island of Dreams and then southward to, well, they've been given directions that if they follow this river roughly 20 miles and then head westward, they will get to Wolfskull Lair, but they might get lost. So let's do the journey along the edge of the forest, which is always a good way of making sure they don't get lost. And we'll do day 1 to here, and we'll see did they have anything in the morning. I'll do 2 dice at the same time. The morning dice is orange, the evening dice is green. And no, they were okay then. Right, so we're into the hills, and day 2 will take us here. Judging from the fact I've put an X here, we have camped here before. Right, now the odds move up to 1 and 2. And again, there is no encounter. And day number 3, we're at night day in the 16th of Flamont. Let's see if anything happens on day number 3. Ah yes, something occurs in the morning. And what type of morning is it on the 16th? It's light showers, warm and windy. The moonlight was still quite bright at night time. Let's roll our 1d20 to see what we have been met with in the hills during the day. That's it. That's 1 to 3 hellhounds. For start, let's roll for how many hellhounds, and then we'll see what on earth 1 is. Right, there's 3 of them. Right, 3 hellhounds. Okay, they have 13 HP each. Let's read up on a hellhound, as this is the first time we've ever met one. Ah, they're from the expert book. Right, ah yeah, do you know, I have always loved this picture. There are times you go around somebody's house and that is what their dog looks like. Armor class 4, hit dice 3 to 7. These are described as hit dice 3. This reddish brown dog-like monster is as big as a small pony. Hellhounds are cunning and highly intelligent. They can often use detect invisibility. They are immune to normal fire and make all saving throws as if fighters of equal hit dice. They are often found near volcanoes, deep dungeons, or with other fire-loving creatures, such as a fire giant. The hellhound will attack one victim, either breathing fire, 1/3 chance, or biting, 2/3 chance each round. The breath does 1d6 points of damage for each hit die of hound. The victim of the breath may make a saving throw versus dragon's breath to take half damage. Right, okay. I'm going to have to set that encounter up. Let's use wilderness encounters from the expert book. we're told that there is an encounter distance, and I have to roll 4d6 times 10 to see what the encounter distance is. And that's 140 yards away. And we're also told, surprise, this is handled the same as in the D&D basic set, except that if either group is surprised, the encounter distance is 10 to 40 yards. If 3 or more creatures surprise a party, they may have moved into a circle around the party. Right, so let's see who got surprised. And we surprised them. Right, so how far away are we? So it's a 1d4 times 10. And it's 1, we're just 10 yards away, 30 feet, that's right on top of them. So we must have come around a corner, around some large outcrop of rock, and there are 3 hellhounds doing their thing. Maybe they're already eating on the carcass of a rabbit or something, or maybe even a wild pony. And the good thing is they can actually cook it first, they don't have to eat it raw. Okay, we have surprise. Despite the fact we haven't seen these things before, they look massive and vicious, and there's no way we're going to be able to outrun them. And not only that, but our horses are almost, well, they almost give up the surprise, so we're going to have to use the surprise round to just get off the horses. Now, I don't think we can have an attack in this round, but we can dismount and get into some sort of formation. It doesn't say that they are magical, and it doesn't say anything about needing magical weapons to hit. It also doesn't say that they are nighttime creatures and therefore have a disadvantage during the day. Alright, okay, so I'm going to have to roll for round number 1, but we are ready for them. Who gets initiative? And they get initiative. Okay, I'll do them all one by one. Which one attacks? And we have the 2 boys up front, and we have Liz and Sylvia and Malin at the back. So the first hellhound, on a roll of 1 or 2, it will breathe fire. And indeed it does. Now, who did it choose as its victim? Donard or Carrick? And it chose Carrick. So it's going to do 3d6 fire damage. So that's 7. Carrick has a ring of fire resistance, so that immediately cuts down to 4. And can't he make a saving throw versus fire breath to halve that to 2? And I don't think he can. No, he failed that saving throw, so he takes 4 damage. He's down to 27. The second hellhound, who does it choose? It chooses Carrick as well. Does it bite or breathe fire? And it bites him. Now the thing is, even though that fire breath did not do much damage, it was guaranteed to do some damage, whereas this hellhound has a Thaco and it might miss. And indeed it does. So the third one, who does it choose? It chooses Donard, and does it breathe fire or attack? And it attacks. And it misses as well. Right, so that was their go. Right, let's unleash all hell on these hellhounds. Malin is going to cast his shield spell. We're going to do missiles. Let's do Liz and Sylvia, who will have gotten into position. Liz misses. Sylvia misses. Right, am I doing friendly fire? Yeah, I suppose I have to. Who does she hit? She hits Carrick for 1 point. Okay, so Carrick's down to 28. Right, Donard easily hits and does a massive 8 damage to 1. That's on him. It's down to 5 HP. Carrick Yes, look at that. Does not like being toasted. Excellent hit roll, max damage. Just sticks his sword right into the hellhound's mouth and right down its throat. That's what it gets for opening its mouth when eating. So we're on to round number 2. And we get initiative. Let's do that again. Right. Liz. Well, she hits. And she does 6 damage. So the one that's on Carrick is down to 7. Sylvia also hits. She also attacks the one on Carrick. They chose the ones on Carrick because he was being attacked 2 to 1. And she does 4 damage. It's down to 3. Come on, boys. Donard misses. And Carrick, with his melee Thaco of 11, misses. Right, there go. There's 2 left. They do have a morale. And it holds up. So the first one, is it going to breathe fire on Carrick? And it does. Right. How much fire damage does it do? It does 13. That is reduced to 10 because of his ring of fire resistance. I'm going to double check on that ring to see if it adds anything to his saving throws. Yes, he gets +2 to his saving throws. He might have made the first one, but it was small damage, my mistake. So he has to make a saving throw versus Dragon's Breath with a +2. And indeed he does make it, so he takes 5 damage. He is down to 21. The second Hellhound on Donard, does it breathe or bite? And it breathes fire. And it does 7 damage. That goes down to 4 because he has a ring of fire resistance. And can Donard make his saving throw? And he fails, so he takes 4 damage. He's down to 29. Round number 3. And we get initiative. Liz. Misses. Sylvia. Hits and kills the one that's on Carrick. Donard fumbles and Carrick rushes over to save the cleric. And he misses. So there's one left. I'll do another morale check for it. And its morale holds up. So it is on Donard. And it decides to go for a bite. And it misses him. Okay, so we have now round number 4. And we get initiative. Deadeye Liz shoots and hits Donard for potentially 6 points. I have done saving throw versus paralysis to mitigate that to 3 points. And he fails that. So he's down to 23 points. Right. Sylvia. That's good enough to hit and kill it. So there are 3 dead hellhounds. Right, we have to calm the horses down. Okay, well, so the party are here and they can see the lake, they can see the river. So tomorrow morning they're going to set off and head for the Wolf Skull Lair. And I think I will start that adventure next time. So I will see you then.